I've given Ubisoft a hard time over the years, even as far back as in 2007. One of my first videos was making fun of their TMNT release on the 360.
The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Xbox 360. It's pretty much worthless. But if you break your Call of Duty 4 game case, then you can use this one as a replacement. Tubular, dude! Thanks for another quality product, Ubisoft.
Don't worry, I'm still not very funny. And neither are the numbers Ubisoft has been putting up lately. Prince of Persia was mid, Skull and Bones was a quadruple A flop, and Star Wars Outlaws, well, it was a flop. And the crazy thing is, those three flops come after a few good hits. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, mega hit. In February 2024, Ubisoft even reported that Assassin's Creed Mirage successfully harnessed the strength of the Assassin's Creed brand to deliver a back-to-the-roots experience, including the return of fan-favorite gameplay. Mirage did so well that it literally made the entire Assassin's Creed brand overperform for the company. And this was a time when Rainbow Six was doing well, they were hyped about Avatar, the crew was popping off, so that leaves one question in my mind. How the hell do you go from that in February to some investors calling for the CEO on a plate and a potential buyout from Tencent? Let's talk about all that, but first, let's talk about support. If you are looking for something that has more support than, say, the Ubisoft investors have right now, consider buying a Flexispot OC6 chair with a Y-shaped high-density foam lumbar support that can support up to 500 pounds of weight. Also, the E6 standing desk can raise or lower its position, and just like Ubisoft stock, it can go extremely low or shoot up with the press of a button, sort of like how Ubisoft stock shot up when the news of a takeover leaked via Bloomberg. One difference being that the desk raises and lowers quite smoothly. And unlike Ubisoft's ability to pivot to something profitable, the E6 desk comes with 4 wheels that allow easy repositioning and movement should your layout need a bit of a change. The desk can handle 325 pounds of impact, is very durable, and it comes with a 15-year warranty, which coincidentally is a longer period of time than Ubisoft's last attempted takeover. Flexispot has sponsored this channel several times, and I really do like their desks. If you'd like to consider one of these desks for yourself, check out the link in the description below. So about that takeover remark, that seems like a good place to start. The year was 2015, and Vivendi was looking to get its hook into a new venture. It set its eyes on Ubisoft, and using some tactics Yves Guillemot considered unwelcome, according to Wikipedia, they had managed to garner a 10.4% stake in the company. A hostile takeover seemed imminent. Because Ubisoft is a French company, it only takes acquiring over 30% of shares for the company to be forced to extend an offer, because it's like a French law or something like that. Anyway, that's exactly what happened with Gameloft, another company owned by the Guillemots, and Vivendi bought them. Guillemots out. That was it. To combat a takeover by Vivendi, who had purchased 25.15% of Ubisoft stock by December 2016, the Guillemots asked for help from investors in Canada beefing up their own stock holdings. They even had to fight off giving Vivendi a place on the board during this time, and they were successful there. But reports were still coming out in 2017 that said Vivendi was likely to take over Ubisoft by the end of the year. To combat this, the Guillemot family bought back 4 million shares, and they did that with the help of an investment services provider to hold Vivendi off. Vivendi decided to hold off, and in 2018 struck a deal to end any kind of takeover. Who did Vivendi sell those shares to? Tencent. That will be important later. And more importantly, if you've liked the video this far, be sure to consider hitting subscribe, hit that bell to know when notifications go live, especially if you've enjoyed the content this far. By March 2019, Vivendi was completely out of the picture. Well, mostly. 2019 onward would see Ubisoft have success with Far Cry, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed franchises, but it would also see them rapidly expand, potentially too much. In mid-2019, they had 16,000 developers on staff and were dropping 5 to 6 AAA games a year, but the sales needed to staff 16,000 people weren't there. And in 2020, they had to do some reorganizing. That's code word for laying people off in the game world. And let's not forget that there were several sexual misconduct accusations leveled at Ubisoft around this time in 2020, which led to internal investigations. Those investigations revealed behavior that led to firings and quiet exits from several top executives. In the same year, they also decided to stop focusing on AAA games and focus on mobile, which we know has bombed for them. But 2021 was a really interesting year. After announcing they would be making a Star Wars game, they received some renewed interest from financiers. They also announced their Quartz blockchain program in December of that year, and everyone hated it. In 2022, they started canceling stuff, a Splinter Cell VR game, Ghost Recon Frontline, and 2 other games that were not yet announced. And while they seemed to be unable to get out of their own way, Tencent was quietly dropping another £300 million into Guillemot Brothers Limited, which is the company that owns Ubisoft. Ys and Tencent were becoming BFFs, with Tencent holding 49.9% of the Guillemot family company by 2022. And Yves Guillemot himself even said that they'd be working closely together with Tencent. Now, they didn't release a lot in 2022, correct me if I'm wrong, but Wikipedia doesn't really list anything for that year. 2023 is where it all kind of falls apart for Ubisoft. They canceled more games, announced more flops, and told more employees that they needed to take responsibility for the company's upcoming projects. They did this while reducing staff from 20,279 to 19,410. They had more layoffs in November and more layoffs in March of 2024. Now, 2024 is where things got really bad. Skull and Bones, Ubisoft's first quadruple-A game, flopped hard. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora fell short of investor expectations. And the big one, Star Wars Outlaws, sold so poorly that Ubisoft released an emergency press blast to investors promising to make it better, release it and all future games on Steam, and they delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows, which had been mired in controversy for months. That's where we are at today, but it gets even juicier. But let's rewind to July for a second. Ubisoft said the gameplay we presented for our 2 highly anticipated upcoming premium titles, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, was not only praised by players and critics alike, but also highlighted the cutting-edge capabilities of our game engines. And in September, they literally had an emergency press release that announced Star Wars Outlaws failed to meet expectations, that Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed until February, and that all their games would come to Steam in the future. So why the sudden change of heart? Basically, the investors had enough. At the beginning of the month, AJ Investments sent an open letter to Yves Guillemot and the board of directors asking for his head. They said the company is undervalued, that current management was not it, and that they wanted the company to go private. Something Ubisoft is actively considering right now, but more on that in just a moment. AJ Investments doesn't own a huge stake in the company, but everyone listened this time, which I believe is a big reason the emergency press release went out. Here are some choice quotes from the AJ Investments letter that I found interesting. Ubisoft at current state is mismanaged and shareholders are hostages of Guillemot family members and Tencent who take advantage of them. In our view, investors should begin to reward efforts to refocus development efforts towards core IPs and address glaring cost inefficiencies in financial year 25. Code word for layoffs again. We suggest that Ubisoft allow shareholders to vote for new CEO and allow sale of the business to PE Group or let the Guillemot-led consortium to buy out minorities for fair price. We believe that the Guillemot family and Tencent are discounting potential value of Ubisoft in order to buy more shares at lower valuation and eventually take full control of the company at heavily discounted valuation. They basically accuse the Guillemot family of purposefully releasing subpar content so that they can buy shares at a discount. They're pissed. They point out that Ubisoft is bloated as they are almost twice the size of any other company. Companies such as EA, Take-Two, and Activision Blizzard have much higher revenues and profitability with lower staff and studio talent. Despite having fewer blockbuster titles, Ubisoft employs over 17,000 staff compared to EA's 1,100, Take-Two's 7,500, and Activision Blizzard's 9,500. And all the companies they list had net profits in the millions or billions, while Ubisoft lost $60 million in 2023. What did they want done? Well, they want the Guillemots to sell. They want a mass reduction of staff. They want a refocus on the titles we all love. Titles like Rainbow Six Siege, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, and Tom Clancy titles such as Splinter Cell should be prioritized and cherished, ensuring they maintain their market-leading position. And they want the CEO out along with other management that led to this failure. And if Ubisoft didn't do anything, well, they basically said that if 60 days pass and they don't see any changes, that they will work with the French government and fight for it to happen anyway. Like I said, they're pissed. So what happened? Well, I do think Ubisoft is going to sell, and there have been 2 reports that claim this is well underway. The first, from Bloomberg, claimed that the company was looking to sell to Tencent. This caused their stock value to increase by 30%. And in a statement to Eurogamer, they didn't even try to hide it, saying Ubisoft has noted recent press speculation regarding potential interests around the company. It regularly reviews all its strategic options in the interest of its stakeholders and will inform the market if and when appropriate. The statement continues, the company reiterates that management is currently focused on executing its strategy centered on 2 core verticals, open world adventures and games as a service, native experiences. Yeah, they have an offer. Like I said at the top, I've poked fun at Ubisoft over the years, but this really does feel like the end of an era. And when Ubisoft is cooking, they have managed to make some of the best games ever made. Splinter Cell is a personal favorite. The Ezio trilogy, the original Assassin's Creed games like Black Flag, Rainbow Six Siege at its peak. But no company can go from releasing almost nothing in 2022, having a decent year in 2023, and then literally blowing your entire war chest on a bunch of games that gamers literally told you were not ready. And reports are saying that devs have been saying the same thing about games like Star Wars Outlaws that needed a delay, and Assassin's Creed, which also was delayed after they started listening. At least we got one of the delays, but the hate for Assassin's Creed Shadows Online, it's unavoidable. It's on their own channels. It's on every social media platform, and some of it is justified. Even if I'm excited about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I'm partially excited because people are so mad about it, there's a chance that this game, the one that put them on the map, could ultimately be their downfall. Now, if you've played Assassin's Creed, you know you actually play as some guy in the future who uses the Animus to replay memories which he can interact with in the past. None of it is really historically accurate, but there were nuggets of truth in the games that made me more interested in learning about the real history of the time period. They've also had deity-like aliens as a key character since the Ezio trilogy, and that's why they can get away with doing whatever they want with the characters. It's all a little silly, and no matter what you think about Yasuke, he is a good template to explore that silliness if he's handled respectfully. So if a game is really as bad as people are saying, I can't wait to see the train wreck, but if it's not, and it's actually a good Assassin's Creed game, I'm here for that too. And they did pretty well with Assassin's Creed 3. That was also somewhat of a controversial time period. They got Mirage right. They really knocked it out of the park. Maybe it will come together in the end. I'm trying to be optimistic here. But let's be honest, it does seem like Shadows could literally be the end if the layoff, buyout, and CEO replacement demands from Ubisoft investors comes to pass. So that's where we're at, and why Ubisoft will likely be vastly different in a year's time. What do you think about the current state of Ubisoft? Let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to the members and of course the sponsor of this video for the support. If you would like to become a member, you can click that join button. It is right down there below. And before I go, if you want to hear what I think about Black Myth Wukong, spoilers, I really liked it. You can click that button right here and watch it right now. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.